धमाका है धमाका आयो दराजको नव वर्ष धमाका शपिङ गर्न आउँछ अब धेरै मजा जब डिल्स दामी डिस्काउन्ट अति भारी यही हो मेरो मौका I'm gonna hit that चौका दराज न्यू इयर धमाका
Ever since my school days, I remember being one of the tall girls with the broad shoulder. But it never really bothered me. I used to be the way I was and not really have a care in the world. I can recall this day as if it happened just yesterday. I believe it was science class in grade 9 when we were all just joking around and the teacher happened to mention something about fat students in the class. He said, "So who's the fat one in this class?" In a very joking manner, without expecting any serious answer. But then someone from the back yelled, "Sahara," and the entire class just bursted into a wave of laughter. I was stunned. For a while, I couldn't even process what had just happened. I mean, I always knew I was taller than most of the girls in my class and some of the boys as well. That did make me seem a bit bigger, but I never thought that someone would associate me with the word fat. The teacher could see the obvious humiliation and embarrassment in my face that he went on to defend me. He said, "Just because you're tall and broad, it doesn't make you fat." But from that day on, the idea that I am someone who doesn't have a perfect body was set. Of course, after class, the guy came up to me, the one who said it, and he apologized, and I said, "It's okay," and I laughed it off. But then I went back home. And then that was the moment it really sank in. An extremely shy, introverted girl being called fat by a guy her age in front of the entire class while the class laughed, it left a scar. From that day on, I knew that there is an ideal body type, and I definitely did not fit into it. Going on to my university, I had actually become heavier. I had made unhealthy eating choices that had left me overweight. But by the time I had gotten so immune to all the fat jokes and comments thrown at me that I was able to completely just subside it and ignore it. I wanted to pursue Miss Nepal since as long as I can remember. Going to Miss Nepal was my ultimate dream, and I had been waiting for years to pursue it. As reserved as I was, I sometimes happened to mention that yes, I want to take part in Miss Nepal. And at the time, I thought people would reply saying, "Yeah, you should totally go for it," or "Yeah, you're smart and well-spoken, you should totally go for it, give it a try." But instead, I was met with replies like, "Are you sure? I think, I don't know, maybe you should lose a bit of weight." A reply that was only based on my physical attributes. I mean, I knew I was overweight and I knew that I had to lose weight, but when people replied just focused on my weight, made me feel like nobody could ever see anything beyond me than my weight. It made me feel like my weight defined me. I was so humiliated again. And from that point on, I decided to keep my plans to myself. Days went on and the day for Miss Nepal audition neared. By the time I had actually been working out, having a very healthy lifestyle, and I had managed to lose 10 kgs of my weight. For the first time in my life, I was actually fit and I was so proud of myself. I went on to Miss Nepal, I competed, and I won the title of Miss Nepal Asia Pacific International, and life was good. I knew I had to wear a bikini for my international pageant, so at the time I started preparing for it. My meals got even healthier and my exercise routine got even better. At the time, I used to be so preoccupied with my events that I didn't really have time to mingle with my family or friends. I was living my best life and I was preparing for my international pageant. But then, that day came. The day where I had to meet those people again. Those people whose judgmental gazes and harsh comments that once said, "Oh, look at you, you've gained weight. Hare, फेरि मोटाएछौ त तिम्रो उमेरको केटीको पनि यस्तो जिउ हुनुहुन्छ बरु अलिकति दुब्लाउ अनि बल्ल गतिलो देख्न थाल्छौ." I mean, I was so excited to meet them. I was thinking to myself, finally, I was fit, I had become Miss Nepal, I'd be giving interviews, my pictures everywhere. I had thousands of followers on my social media. I was really, really at the top of the world. And I was prepared to meet them so happily, knowing that those words, those harsh, cruel words that once made me hate myself to the core, those words that made me doubt myself, the words that made me cry myself to sleep at night, were finally about to be replaced by words of praise and encouragement saying, "Wow, you did it. Dublaecho, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you." So I was excited. But then, of course, my happiness was short-lived. Most of my life, I had grown up hearing that if you lose weight, you'll become better. Most of my life, I'd grown up hearing, "Dublao, dublao, dublao, dublao." But that day came when I finally lost it all and I met them face to face. And they told me, "La, ke bhayo timlai? Kina yesto dekheko? Like, what's wrong with you? It looks like you've lost weight in such a bad manner. It looks like you've got a disease that has made you look so fat. So thin, sorry. के भयो तिम्रो मुखको त ग्लो नै हरायो यस्तो दुब्लायो कि तिमी त ग्लो नै हरायो What happened to you? You used to be so pretty. Used to be pretty? I could not believe what I was hearing at the moment. The contrast between my expectation and my reality was so far apart that I could not bear it. Here I was, finally lost weight, and I was preparing for my international pageant, working day in and day out, eating the healthiest meals I possibly could, trying to be the fittest version of myself to represent our country internationally, and I was met with those words. For a while, I shrugged it off, but then I kept hearing them. Those words went on for days, weeks, and then months. I would hear those words so constantly that at one point, it started bringing me so down. To me, these words weren't opinion anymore. They had become facts. I had been so bothered by these comments that it actually ended up making me lose more and more weight. I had lost all my confidence, and the stress of looking unappealing right before my international pageant had left me losing weight. At such a fragile time in my life, when I needed the closest people around me to tell me, to give me more confidence, those words actually broke me down. When the country relied on me, when everyone's relying on me, those kind of negative talks completely brought me down. I remember my lowest point came when I used to wake up in the morning and I didn't even like looking at myself in the mirror anymore. I used to take pictures and I used to post it on social media, and they used to have thousands and thousands of likes and comments. But I hated it. I hated looking at myself. I hated looking at my ugly face. I remember this particular picture that I had posted right before my international pageant, which was really well received online. But I remember looking at it and thinking to myself, why am I so unappealing? And just like that, the day for my international pageant was there. As I was sitting on the plane traveling to Philippines, I thought to myself, I'm not ready. I'm not pretty enough. I don't look good. I had all the self-doubt just circling me, just playing over and over in my head. And just like that, the dreaded day was there. The first day of my international pageant, where I had to wear a bikini and stand on stage. I remember thinking about that day before my international pageant. I thought that I'd be standing on stage and I'd be surrounded by these angelic women from different countries who have the most perfect body ever, and I would look at them and think to myself, why do I look like this? And I thought I would hate myself so much. But as I stood there on stage, I noticed not everybody there had the same body type. Actually, their body type was so different. Some were really hefty, whereas some were really skinny, and some even had visible scarring in their body. Yet, each and every one of them looked beautiful in their own way. And as I stood there and gazed, I thought to myself, there's one thing that they all have in common that I don't. And that was confidence. The confidence to stand tall and call themselves beautiful. And that was when it finally dawned on me. Why do I hate myself so much? Why did I punish myself so much? Why did I tell myself I'm not good enough? Why didn't I acknowledge the hard work I had put into to look the way I did at that moment? And then I realized, it's not me. It's the people and the society who have constantly be telling me that for years and years. When I used to be fat, they told me, you're too fat. A girl your age shouldn't look like a mother of two. When I was thin, they told me, you're too thin. A girl your age shouldn't look like a skeleton. I realized that I had let these voices who don't know me, who don't know my story, dictate the way I looked at myself. And from that moment on, I decided that I'm not going to let anyone dictate the way I look at myself, that I am going to shower myself with as much as love and confidence that I can. And from that point on, I decided to complete my pageant as fearlessly as possible, because perfection is not a concept or an idea that needs to be achieved. Perfection is achieved when you decide to embrace your imperfect self. Now it's been a year since that day. And now that I look back on the entire journey, I think to myself, I was really happy back in my younger days when the idea of the perfect body was not put in my head. A lot of young girls come up to me and they ask me, what's your secret? What is the secret to how you look? And before, I used to tell them about my diet and my exercise routine. But now I tell them the secret to how I look is my happiness. The fact that I accept myself at any phase of my life. If I feel like taking a break and enjoying the holidays, getting a few pounds, gaining a few pounds, I do. And if I feel like I want to work out extra hard, get fit into this small dress for an event, I do. All the while staying healthy. Because it's not supposed to be about how you look. It's about how you're functioning internally. Health is not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. It is the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So if you feel like you want to gain a bit of weight and go up a few dress sizes, you should. Just do it. If you feel like you want to lose a bit of weight and then go down a few dress sizes, that's okay. Or if you feel like you're perfect the way you are and you don't want to make any changes to yourself, just because people tell you to, that's okay too, as long as you're healthy. Because there is no perfect shape for health. The best size you can achieve is not a size 0 or size infinity. It's the state where you feel happy and content with yourself. It's the state where you feel like getting up in the morning and looking at yourself in the mirror and smiling. Thank you very much.